Hey y'all, what's up? My name is Tony Alyssa. Welcome back to my channel. Y'all, I refuse to fail on the second day of my upload schedule. So I'm literally filming like 15 minutes before I need to leave. So in today's video, but I'm still gonna get this video. So in today's video, I just wanted to talk about like comfort zones, the effect of comfort zones. What is a comfort zone? So if you're interested in that, definitely stay tuned. All right, y'all, so I wanted to look up the definition of comfort zone because we all know like our comfort zone is like our safe place, the place where we just want to stick to. We don't want nothing new. We don't want to change anything up. This is our comfort zone. This is what we like. But I didn't want to look up a definition. So the first definition I seen was a place or situation where one feels safe or at ease and without stress. Another definition is a psychological state in which a person feels at ease because they're not being tested. So I'm gonna give y'all a little testimony or a little story about me and my comfort zone and how I was basically crippled by my comfort zone. So first of all, starting off in preschool, I was very reserved, very much to myself. And yes, I can remember preschool. Then to primary school or elementary school, I was shy at first, carrying off of preschool, not really wanting to talk to anybody. I even remember this one girl I went to preschool with, I so much never used to talk to people that she was like, this is my friend Tony, and she's kind of shy, but literally, she just introduced us to me. I don't even know who she was introducing me to, but then moving on up through elementary school, I got to know the people, so I was comfortable with them, and so I started talking more. Then I got to high school, and in the Caribbean, we don't do middle school, so I got to high school, and I started like getting more out of my shell until, like people get in your ear, situations happen, and then I just went back to being reserved. So ever since then, I've been reserved. I stay to my comfort zone. One of my top like rules or things I used to say is I don't ever speak to people unless they speak to me first. And if you don't know, that's literally like a block, like that's you putting up a wall and blocking relationships. That's you putting up a wall and blocking relationships that you could get into, like friendships, relationships that you could get into, even like networking relationships. That's you blocking it just off of that simple rule. And so I had to learn that. Then moving on to college, I was the most reserved I've ever been. Why? Because I didn't have to talk to people. Like it wasn't mandatory. Like yeah, we would get in class and they'd be like, introduce yourself, tell us about blah blah blah. I keep it short, keep it sweet. But after class, I did not go out anywhere. Y'all, I was so much in my comfort zone. I went 4 years of college and I did not come up with one friend. That is how bad I was in my comfort zone. But one day, well, I used to work at a store, and if you ever work in retail, you'll have like, the memes that be like, working in retail will have you being friends with a senior, like a 60-something year old, and you like 15 or 16. And so that was kind of like the situation. So working in retail, I would see a lot of people that have been with a company for years, and that's not a bad thing. But when you're in the same position, which is usually like a sales position, a customer service position, I just feel like why don't you want to grow, And so I was seeing that in other people, and it was this one person in particular. It was this guy. He's over 40. He still lives with his mom, and he was like, he's never been in a relationship, and that's not to say nothing, but is that he desired a relationship, but his comfort zone kept him out of that relationship, out of any relationship. So, and I remember one time it had another guy that came in, and he was talking to that over 40-year-old guy, and they were catching back up because I'm assuming that the guy who came into the store, he used to work there before and they knew each other. So he was like, yeah, like how is everything going with you? And he was like, yeah, I'm good. He was like, and so the 40-year-old was like, where are you living? He was like, oh, I still live with my mom. And he was like, yeah, I still live with my mom. Like, you just can't live on your own nowadays days. And y'all, I'm just thinking like, what? Like, do y'all just not desire to grow? Like, what are y'all talking about? What do you mean like you can't live on your own these days? So, and this was like 3 or 4 years ago. So, needless to say, one day I was sitting in my dorm, and I was like, Tony, Like, this comfort zone thing, you need to get out of it. Like, no one is going to pull you out of it. God could be patient with you, but he's not about to force you to do it. So I went on to our university website where you can find groups, and I was like, let me just find a group to go with my major, and I find a NRFSA group. So I accidentally joined it. I thought it would have been like like a contact information type thing that would have popped up, but no, like it was like, great, you've requested to join, and we'll send it over to the team lead of that group and you get in. And turns out the team lead of that group was my first semester, because I had to go to summer school before I started college, or summer college before I started like the regular year. So my overmate was the lead of that group. Fast forward, I get into that group, I find out that they're having a competition. I was like, okay, I'm already on the roll of pushing myself out my comfort zone, because I realized like that every time I try to film, somebody goes to that pool. But yeah, what time is it? Okay, 10 minutes. What was I saying? I was like, now I'm on the roll of pushing myself out of my comfort zone. Let me join this competition. Let me get into this competition. So I got into that competition. We got to it was whatever. It was just a competition, like creating a product, putting it in a store, just the behind the scenes of business, and creating a line like to put into different stores. And we made it to like the finals, but we didn't win, or we made it to the semifinals, one of them, whatever. Needless to say, that was the beginning of me pushing myself out my comfort zone. Now, why I did that was because, one, looking at that guy's life I was talking about, I was like, I could see, like, by the grace of God, looking at other people's life, what comfort zones could do to me, and I don't want that for my life. And so I literally chose, like, you're either gonna push yourself out of your comfort zone and just start doing something, like anything that I'm not comfortable with doing, which was talking to people who I don't know, going into groups, joining a competition. Like, I would never in a million years join a competition in school, like, but I did, because I wanted to push myself out of that zone, like. And so after that, I graduated. I still, like, I know the girls. We're not friends, but I know the girls, so there was some sort of networking connection there. So that literally was the beginning of me pushing myself out of my comfort zone. What I said all of this to say is, if I had still been in my comfort zone, I would have never moved to Texas, because the way I moved here was very uncomfortable. I would have never left my job, because I had already been there for I had already been there a little over 5 years, and because I was so comfortable with it, I could not imagine having to apply to another job, get to know new people, literally grow. I was like, no, since I don't want to do that, I'm gonna just go on this job that I don't like. Like, literally, like, your comfort zone could keep you crippled. And the second definition that I read, it says, like, the psychological state in which a person feels at ease because they're not being tested. Bringing it back to the Bible, we all know God has to test us. In our comfort zone, that is us protecting, or trying to protect ourselves from being tested by God. And that could be out of fear and out of pride, two things that cannot coincide with God. Like pride, God rejects pride, and God doesn't operate in fear. God calls us to have faith. He calls us to move on faith and believe in Him, and not in our own abilities, in our own strength. When it comes to us being in our comfort zone and pride, that's us thinking like we know what works for us. And another thing in your comfort zone too is like you already have your life planned out. Like, okay, I'm gonna work this job. I'm gonna stay here because it's comfortable. I'm gonna stay here because the money is good, or I'm gonna stay in this relationship because I'm comfortable with it. This is all I know. But if that's not God's plan for you, that's you operating in pride and not going along. That's you going with your will for your life and not God's will for your life. So even if we go back to the Bible and we look at different stories like Abraham, or we look at Moses, every person had to, everybody had to get out of their comfort zone. God called them to leave their land. God called, I'm pretty sure it was Moses, to speak to a bunch of people when He called Moses to lead them to the promised land. So all of that was them coming out of their comfort zone, but they would have never prospered. God's plan would have never came to pass if they stayed in that comfort zone. That's another thing. The plan that God has, that he wants to do through you, it won't come through you. Like, you could be delaying, you could be not blocking, because regardless of the fact, if you don't do it, God will raise up somebody else to do it. But if God wanted to do it now, and you're trying to block him or delay the process or holding back with your comfort zone, again, that's pride. So I definitely encourage y'all, consider your comfort zones. You can even write it down. What is something that you just don't want to change, you don't want to touch, simply because you've been hurt, simply because you don't see another way, or you don't think another way is possible? And then pray about it. Ask God to shine a light on it. Shine a light if you're operating out of pride. Shine a light on it if you're operating out of fear. And ask him to change your heart. I said the scripture in the last video, Proverbs chapter 23 and verse 26. My son, give me thine heart, and let thine eyes observe my ways. I say that scripture just simply for me to come into agreement with God's plan. Coming out of my comfort zone was not easy. It still is not easy. And so I have to constantly say that scripture for me to stay focused, for me to stay aligned. Like, God, at the end of the day, it's not my plan. It is your plan. It's your plan to come to pass. It's for your plan to come to pass and not my plan. And I'll tell y'all this, and I'll give you another testimony. So remember when I said that before I got my Jeep, I wanted a Toyota RAV4, and that was a comfort zone. I already had a Toyota, and I was like, I don't think I can afford a Jeep. Like, I don't think I'll get qualified for a Jeep. So I went to Toyota, didn't get the RAV4. Moving forward, like a couple months later, I got my Jeep, right? Then God told me to quit, move. I moved. It was hard in Dallas. I'm looking at the prices in Dallas compared to the prices in Houston. When I had run out of gas, I was like, y'all, when I was talking to the people in the car, I was like, yeah, what do y'all think about Houston? And they was like, no, you'll be miserable. Dallas is like, you're probably the best place that you could be. I was considering moving to Houston, right? Okay, lo and behold, I have my Jeep, and I'm in Dallas in my apartment. I got into the accident, and I was thinking to myself, like, whenever I get a rental, God, I want a RAV4, because that's what I wanted for a very long time. Like, I want to see how it drives, because I think I did drive one, but not like a test drove one. So after driving in my Jeep for almost a year, well, over a year, and then getting into that rental, I was like, yeah, this is not it at all. And I was, y'all, I'm literally here sitting in my car, and I forgot that my camera cut off when I was filming earlier this morning, and that I needed to finish up. So I think it ended off when I was talking about the RAV4. So I drove the RAV4. I was like, thank God I got the Jeep. And then I went to Millions Conference. It was in Houston. So when I got to Houston, I was like, yeah, definitely. I'm so glad I moved. I did not move to Houston. The more I stayed there, I was like, I cannot wait to get back. But no, seriously, like, I was like, God, like, your plan for me was way better, or is way better than what I had planned for myself. So I say all of this to say, challenge yourself to get out of your comfort zone so that you won't be blocking God's plan for your life. Also, so that you're not staying stagnant in life, you're not staying in the same situation, and that you're able to grow. Like, another thing about me staying in my comfort zone is that I literally felt like, one, every day was the same. Two, it's like life is just passing me by. Like, I'm not getting anywhere in life. 3 years on the line, I feel like I'm in the same spot, the same place, no progress, nothing to talk about. But ever since I came out of my comfort zone, yes, I want to reiterate again, it has been challenging. However, my life is going forward as opposed to just staying in place. And one thing we have to realize, and I always have to tell myself, like, when it comes to things of God, it's not always easy. I know I always say that. But if that's the path that God has for you to take to get to where you need to be or where you want to be, that's just the path. So once again, say Proverbs chapter 23 and verse 26, which is, my son, give me thy heart, and let thine eyes observe my ways, and just keep pushing. Like, you just gotta have to suck it up, push through it, and so that you can get to where you need to be or where you want to be. But yeah, y'all, it is literally 8:22. I'm about to start editing this video, post it, upload it, and I'll see y'all next Tuesday. Bye.